Ooh, ooh, the New Year's Eve we hit the town. The day we tore the goalposts down. We will have these moments to remember.
Here we are at the Cabot house at the Beverly Historical Society. We're getting ready to go in for one heck of a tour. All right, see you soon. Welcome to another edition of Senior Moments with a question mark. Why is there a question mark? We do not have senior moments, we have intellectual pauses. So Bob, where are you today? I am at the Beverly Historical Society at Cabot and Central Street. If you want really good chocolates, it's right across the street from Winfrey's. Okay, so today we're going to take a tour of the society, but first we are going to find out all about the director of the society. Welcome.
Chester Battis, my grandfather, longtime school teacher and principal here in Beverly. So my last name is very well known for that reason.
How tall was he?
Really close to, I'd say probably almost 7 feet tall.
Yeah, he was, I mean, when he walked down the hall, we behaved ourselves. I mean, you know, you talk about intimidation.
Yes.
Yeah.
I hear two stories. Either he was there are good students and there are bad students, according to the stories that I hear. Either there are people who would sit on the bench outside his office, which you knew what was coming, or there are people who just gush over him, because he was a gentle giant, but he did definitely command a presence.
Yeah, extremely well respected.
Yeah, very much so.
And you have followed in his footsteps as far as service, and she's going to go a little further because she's joining Rotary, which is service above self.
Correct. I do come from a very long line of service. From my grandfather, Chester Battis, and the principal. My dad here in the city of Beverly for over 35 years was part of the fire department, Beverly Fire Department, and towards the end of his life, he was the director of emergency communications for the city of Beverly. And so it is all about service for the
Right.
Battis family.
All right, what about you? What'd you do as a kid? Hopscotch? Jacks?
Oh my goodness, lots of playing in downtown. I grew up on Myrtle Street. And so it was riding your bikes to Macaulay's to pick up a 25-cent Charleston chew.
Macaulay's. Compounding.
Compounding, yes.
All the prescriptions were done with compounding.
Yes.
No pills in a bottle. Are you kidding me?
So riding the bikes to Macaulay's, going to school. I went to Washington Beetle Elementary School, which is now Walgreens. On
You
Elliott
might
Street.
have had my aunt, Mary Chisholm.
No, I did not have Mrs. Chisholm for.
She
For
ended up at Hardy.
Okay.
That's where I went, and then to Briscoe, and then up to the prep, and on my journey. Okay, so education. Where'd you get your education?
So, like I said, I went to Washington Beetle, and then on to Briscoe, Beverly High School, Salem State, and Harvard University.
Harvard. Park the car in the Harvard yard and don't go near the water. Okay, so you have degrees in what?
So degrees in psychology and art history from Salem State, and museum studies from Harvard University.
Museum. All right, so how long you been over here?
So at Historic Beverly?
Yeah.
I've been here at Historic Beverly for 8 years.
Okay, and you just took over as the director.
Correct. For about 7.5 years, I was in the role of Associate Director for Collections, which means that I was taking care of all of the stuff, including the 3 properties.
Okay. The 3 properties, Balch, the Hale House, and where we are now. Okay.
The Cabot House.
But we also got a cemetery, and we also have a whole mess of historic houses all through the city.
Correct. But we don't take care of the cemetery or the mess of historic houses. We only take care of Balch, Hale, and Cabot House.
Right, but you do a lot of specials, tours and stuff like that.
Oh yes, there are some private homes that do pop up on our holiday house tour, which is coming up this year on December 13th. And then we also do, we are involved with preservation work with the city to ensure that our history remains in the city and isn't destroyed. So there's an awful lot of work for us to do throughout the city.
Right. Okay, so like, how big is the collection?
Almost 1 million pieces.
Oh, did you get that? Almost 1 million pieces. And for those of you who have not been down here, what's your excuse? Okay, it's ridiculous. How much are the tickets?
It's free to come.
Oh, it's free. Oh my God. Unbelievable. All right. So, Haunted Stuff is coming. You're going to have a whole mess of events. They need to get on the computer, find out what they are, what times, and get the kids down here. And right in the next room, I already found the candy. All right. What would Halloween be like without candy? All right. So, you can take us on a tour, and we want a special emphasis on somebody that you couldn't talk about for 3 years, who's coming to Beverly, and he is a superstar. And when we get to his, or the collection of, what, 28 pieces?
Correct.
From the American Revolution, we will get his name out.
Okay.
And he's coming to Beverly.
He is.
Will I be able to get in the door? I mean, where are you going to have him?
We're going to have to tease that out with his management company. But it's going to happen. It's exciting.
Management company. How many people have a management company? How many people have been on one TV special after another, after another, after another? Well, anyway, I can't contain myself. We're talking about Ken Burns. Ken Burns has been working with the Historical Society for 3 years, putting a special together featuring the 28 portraits that Henry Cabot Lodge secured for the society, turned over to the society, dealing with the American Revolution. And what's the general time frame on when this special's gonna be on TV?
It's going to air on PBS November 16th through the 21st.
16th through the 21st November, Ken Burns and Beverly will be featured. Is Beverly the hottest city?
Yes, it was chosen the hottest zip code to live in.
I think the value of my house is gonna go up. All right, we ready to take a tour?
Ready to go? Today we're sitting in the John Cabot house. The John Cabot house dates to 1781. It was built for John Cabot, John Cabot being one of the three Cabot brothers here in Beverly. We had John, Andrew, and George. George had
But they moved from Salem.
Correct. So George had a home just a couple blocks from here, which ultimately burned down. And then Andrew's home is present-day City Hall. So this is truly a Revolutionary War house, being from 1781. It passes...
It was built during the Revolutionary War.
Correct. Correct. And so this is considered one of the first brick mansions in the area, and it truly does display an awful lot of wealth. But I think the other thing that's really important about this house is that we have what we call the bank room, and the bank room dates to 1902. And that is when, 1802.
Beverly Bank.
Beverly's first bank, which is really important that we have the history of Beverly's first bank right here on Cabot Street. And it stayed in this building until 1866. So it had a very lengthy period of time in this one spot until the city got bigger, the needs for a larger bank took place, and that's when they finally moved out of the Cabot house to their original home, their first home on Cabot Street. So,
Okay, and so when did the Historical Society purchase it?
So the house changed hands from the Cabots to the Burleys, and then in the that would be in the 1800s, and then by late 1800s, early 1900s, it was acquired by the Beverly Historical Society.
The Burleys donated it.
Correct.
Okay. So, it's been around for a while.
Yes, but it's the baby in our collection.
So, then in the 30s, the Balch House and the Hale House were purchased.
Correct. So the Balch House is the oldest house in our collection. The land of the Balch House dates to 1636, but after doing some dendrochronology studies, which is the study of the wood, we've determined that the house actually comes along much later, in about 1670. And so that house is our oldest one, and then of course we have Reverend John Hale's house, which dates to 1690. So some of our oldest properties here in the city.
And Beverly was incorporated in 1620? 26. And it was Salem.
Correct.
And then it became Beverly, and then part of Danvers was Salem as well.
As well as Wenham.
And Wenham. So, oh, by the way, I gotta get this in. I am related to, what's his name? Roger Conant.
Oh,
And Little Misery was owned by my great-great-aunt. Her last name was Egan. Look it up. She donated it to Salem. Little Misery. So I go way back.
I'm right there with you. I'm the 8th great granddaughter of Reverend John Hale.
Oh my God, a hail.
Yes.
Hail to the chief. Okay, so, all right. Touring this nice house, where are we now sitting?
We're currently sitting in what we call the research room, and this is where individuals who are doing research, whether it's on their house, businesses, ancestry, they come here to use our collection. Now, I had mentioned that the collection is about 1 million pieces strong. Half of that is archival. So over 500,000 pieces is archival material that people can reference, from photographs to city directories, brochures, documents, anything and everything. I think we have it in our
It's
collection.
mind-boggling.
It is.
So back in the day, what was this room used for?
So this would be in the dining.
This would be the main dining room. Okay, now, I understand, I don't know if she was a slave or whatever, but she was black, and she lived down at Pride's Crossing, and she walked up to this house every day until she died, I think, in her 80s.
Are you thinking of Juno Larkham?
I'm not sure. Okay.
We have a whole entire exhibit on the enslaved people of Beverly right above us when we head upstairs.
Oh.
So we can take a look at that.
Yeah, I'm sort of into that. Okay, but is that a true story?
So there was a group of 3 women who lived down right on
Railroad tracks.
the railroad tracks of Beverly Farms.
Right.
They were all related. One was Juno Larkham, there was Phyllis Cave, there was Nancy Milan, and there was Chloe Turner. And all of them lived together.
God, do you have everything memorized?
So when you love history, it sticks there. So I can't remember what I ate for breakfast, but I can remember those dynamic women.
Are you going to write a book?
Oh, there are many books in the works right now. So it's
Good.
exciting.
Good. All right, so why don't you take us around?
Sure.
Okay, we're now in the room where the bank was. Where's the money? John, take us to the money.
So we are in the Beverly Bank room that was designated here in the Cabot house. And what we're looking at right now is the day vault, where all of the materials for the day would have been kept. And then we have a night vault, which is really impressive. It runs the whole entire length of the house. And that is where materials that wouldn't be used during the day normally would be stored. That is also where there would be a printing press, gold bars, spare paper to make the currency. And you're probably thinking, where is the money? We do have some of that money on view. And if we were to move over to the case over here, we'll take a look at some of that currency. So here on the left-hand side, there are some bills that say Bass River Bank, the Beverly Bank, and that is because most cities and towns at this time, this is 1802, are creating their own currency. And so, as you can probably imagine, it was difficult to keep track of. And of course, it was very, very easy to counterfeit, because if I'm showing a Beverly Bank note in a different city or town, they might not know what the Beverly Bank note looks like. So it's easy to create counterfeit currency at the time. And we do have some counterfeit currency on view as well, so you can make the comparison and see how easy it is to look very similar to the Beverly banknotes.
We're in the parlor, and this is where we're going to start. Ken Burns' collection is spread throughout the entire facility, so We're going to start here in the parlor.
Yes, so we are standing in the parlor chamber of the Cabot house. This would have been the room that John Cabot would have met with everybody. What normally happens with the parlor room is that it is designed to show your wealth, to really show your status in the community. And that's what we've tried to do here in this room setting, is display the wealth that would have been on view at the time. And so if you were to visit Cabot, you would come in and it wouldn't necessarily be a comfortable visit, because the chairs and whatnot that you're sitting on probably aren't out for comfortability, but more for elegance. And what you do see in this room here at Historic Beverly is an homage to a lot of the people that John Cabot specifically honored. And I say that because over here on the wall, we've got a couple of portraits that are really dynamic. So to know historic Beverly history is to know that part of the American Revolution was that the coastline needed to be fortified. And it was General Washington who selected a gentleman by the name of Moses Brown to fortify that coastline. Moses Brown was so important, not just because of the work that he did to kind of spearhead the work and the fortifications of the coastline, but we know that he's important based on the fact that General Washington had a portrait of Captain Moses Brown commissioned. And not only did he have it commissioned by a notable artist, it was the artist Gilbert Stuart. Now, we might know Gilbert Stuart today by something that we all carry in our pockets, and that is the $1 bill. Gilbert Stuart did the portrait of George Washington that is on the $1 bill. So Gilbert Stuart is commissioned by Washington to do a portrait of our Captain Moses Brown. Stuart's apprentice, James Frothingham, is commissioned to do the portrait of Mrs. Brown. Gilbert Stuart at this time is so important in history doing patriotic portraits. He doesn't have time to do the women unless they were of really, really important historical significance. And so Stuart passes Mrs. Brown's portrait off to his apprentice, and it's James Frothingham who does Mrs. Brown. And so these are just two perfect examples of what the Cabots would have on view to display their wealth, but also to display their support for the activities that are taking place during the war.
Okay, so you go in the front door, and then to your right is a parlor. We just came out of the parlor. We're in the hallway, and up in the wall is where it really begins. Ken Burns, John Cabot. And John Cabot commissioned a number of paintings to depict the American Revolution.
It's Senator Henry Cabot Lodge.
Senator
Henry Cabot Lodge.
Henry Cabot Lodge. And what happened was he ended up donating them to the Historic Society. All right, take over.
Thank you so much. So we are standing in front of one of the many, many displays of paintings that were commissioned by Senator Henry Cabot Lodge. So fast forward from the American Revolution to 1898. So we're well over 100 years out of the American Revolution. And it's Senator Henry Cabot Lodge who is seeing what's taking place in his beloved hometown, or his beloved town of Boston. And being a Boston Brahmin himself, he's seeing an awful lot of immigration taking place. And he's not too happy about it. So he decides to write a book called The Story of the Revolution. And this was his way of kind of waving the patriotic flag, saying, you know, there's 100 years plus of history here, of liberty, of spirit, of pride, and you just can't come into the United States and take over. And so he starts to put this 2-volume set, this book that he's written, The Story of the Revolution, together. And he knows some of the artists at Scribner's magazine in New York City. He's written for Scribner's many times, and Scribner's is a very well-known publication. It rivals that of Time, Life, any of the big news periodicals of this moment, 1898. And so he asked the artists working at Scribner's to paint specific scenes for his book called The Story of the Revolution. And it's interesting because I'm standing right now in front of a wall of maritime paintings. These maritime paintings were commissioned by Lodge to go into his book, The Story of the Revolution. But if you were to thumb through the book at all of the illustrations, first of all of the illustrations are not in color. They're in black and white. A lot of the images that we're going to see throughout today are in color, so they never see their heyday in full color in the book. The other thing, too, is that Lodge, even though he commissions this great set of 6 maritime paintings, probably more, he never uses any of the maritime paintings in his book. So these paintings never see the light of day until today when they're hanging on our wall, which is pretty neat.
Pretty neat. Okay. By the way, when I was in high school, I was a playground instructor, and in the afternoons we were assigned a beach. And I was at the Cove playground, and I was assigned Brackenberry.
Oh?
And so I would assist the lifeguarding lessons, this, that, whatever. And if I'm looking out at the water, to my left, there's this white boathouse. Guess who owned it? Henry Cabot Lodge Jr.
Oh, okay. Henry Cabot Lodge.
So off I would go when he would come down from his house and help him put his sailboat out.
What fun.
Tall,
Yes.
charismatic, the perfect gentleman. And I didn't realize it at the time, I'm going to put the boat out this or whatever. But now I, of course, recognize the significance. And he was one of many very famous people that I've come in contact with in my life, but that's for another day.
So that would be the grandson of the senator that we're talking about.
Yes.
Yes. So we can head upstairs and take a look at more paintings and unpack this story about Senator Henry Cabot Lodge, the story of the Revolution, and how we get in contact with Ken Burns.
Okay.
Awesome.
Here we go.
So we are at the top of the stairs heading up to the second floor at the Cabot House. And I stop here because this is a pretty monumental image, as you can tell from the white horse. We're looking at General George Washington. And it is at the top of the stairs because it gives the grand effect when you walk through the door of the Cabot House, what you're walking into. But it's here that I'd also like to kind of follow up on the Cabot Lodge story. What happens after Senator Henry Cabot Lodge publishes his book, The Story of the Revolution, he decides in order to sell it that he's going to take it on a grand tour. And so he gets some of the artists who actually create the artwork for the book. And they take a grand tour of the United States. That would be the only time that these artworks are seen in public until they come to Historic Beverly and we put some on view. So you might be asking, how did we get all of these paintings? Well, it's in 1902 and 1904 that a woman by the name of Susan Parker Day has a group of 44 paintings in her collection, and she decides to actually gift them to the Historical Society. And so all 44 paintings came to Historic Beverly from Susan Parker Day, and she had received them from Senator Henry Cabot Lodge. So we're incredibly thankful for Susan's thoughtfulness in gifting this enormous collection of paintings to the Beverly Historical Society at the time.
So, come on down and look at these paintings before you move off to California. No, you wouldn't move to California.
So we're standing now outside the gallery of the American Revolution, the story of the war in 28 paintings. Now, I had mentioned that we received 44 paintings from Susan Parker Day. However, it's 28 paintings that are currently on view in this exhibit, The American Revolution, the story of the war in 28 paintings. And that is because 28 paintings are the paintings that were selected by Ken Burns, the documentary filmmaker, to use in his upcoming documentary on the American Revolution.
What's those dates again?
The dates for that on PBS are November 16th through November 21st. And it's in that documentary that you're going to be able to see all 28 of these paintings on view. So you might be thinking, Ken Burns, Beverly, Ken Burns, Historic Beverly. Well, it was about 3 years ago when I received a phone call from a company called Florentine Films. And at first I thought I was being punked. I thought it was my sister trying to set me up. And I thought, wait a minute, Ken Burns, Historic Beverly, that just doesn't make sense. But come to find out, it really was Florentine Films and Ken Burns' company. And they were interested in taking a look at 7 of our paintings at that time. Now, mind you, that's 3 years ago. They wanted to come in, take a look at them, and possibly photograph them for this upcoming documentary that Mr. Burns was in the process of creating. They came in for their first visit, and I had a good idea that I was going to put other paintings out for him to take a look at. Well, it was the Burns team that came. They saw everything that was out. They shot everything that was out. So they now had about 14 images that they were walking away with. He was really excited to see this work. I was told that he jumped out of his seat when he started to see the detail. I speak of the detail because everything was shot in 4K, the highest resolution that you could possibly shoot for copy work, which is really exciting. He was so excited about the work that they came back numerous times later to shoot more and more images. Well, thankfully, we now have almost all of the entire collection in 4K. They've given us the rights to use all of the images, the photography, however we see fit. And 28 of the paintings were selected to go into the film. An additional 7 were selected by Mr. Burns and his education team to go into a book that is being published in support of the education and the programming that goes behind public school education. And so 7 more of our paintings will be included in that textbook to share with the community. You might be thinking, how did Ken Burns find out about these paintings? Well, it was back in 2017 where we decided Historic Beverly changed its name from Beverly Historical Society to Historic Beverly. And it's at that time where we decided that we were going to make our collection available and open to the public worldwide. And so we're trying to get as many objects onto our online collection database that you can go right onto our website, historicbeverly.net, under collections, and search. And that's exactly what Ken Burns did. He found out that we had this beautiful collection, and he and his team went onto our website to take a look at it. And thankfully, I'm so happy that he did, because these beautiful works will be seen by everybody around the world in Mr. Burns's upcoming documentary, The American Revolution.